All right, let's dive in. Today, we're talking about a practice that is right at the very heart of Islamic devotion. It's called Salawat, the act of sending blessings upon the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. It's something that starts as a divine command, gets analyzed by scholars, and then, for the mystics, becomes this beautiful path of love and nearness to God. So let's get into it. First things first, to really get why sending blessings on him is such a big deal, we have to understand who he is within the Islamic tradition. We're not just talking about a historical figure here. He is seen as a spiritual reality, a mercy for all of creation. Just listen to those words for a second. Radiant light, mirror of divine names. This isn't just some pretty poetry. Our source material presents this as a core belief. It's saying that he has this unique place in the cosmos, as the one who perfectly reflects God's attributes to the rest of us, which makes him the ultimate guide and a source of incredible mercy. Okay, so keeping that incredible spiritual status in mind, we can move from the who to the why. Why is sending blessings on him so central to the faith? Well, the answer isn't just based on tradition. It comes from a direct, explicit verse in the Quran itself. And this brings us to the absolute heart of the matter, a question that really shapes this entire practice. When the Quran talks about Salawat, is it just, suggesting a nice thing to do? Or is it actually issuing a binding command for every single believer? And here is the verse. It's incredibly powerful. First, it sets the scene on a cosmic scale. God himself and his angels are constantly, perpetually sending blessings. And then it turns to us, the believers, with a direct address. O you who believe, you send blessings upon him. So how can we be so sure this is a command? Well, it all boils down to one Arabic word, Sallallahu. Grammatically, that word is in the imperative form, what's known as an amr. And in the language of the Quran, that's not a friendly suggestion. It's an obligation. It's a direct command. And the Prophet's closest followers, they got this immediately. Their reaction wasn't, oh, should we do this? It was, okay, how do we do this? They already knew the regular greeting of peace, the salam, but they recognized that this command for salat, for blessings, was something new, something special. They needed instructions. And he didn't leave them guessing. He gave them a very precise formula. This form, which is called the Salawat al-Ibrahimiyya, or the Abrahamic blessings, is actually the one millions of Muslims recite every single day in their formal prayers. So this just goes to show the command wasn't just a general vibe. There was a divinely taught way to fulfill it. So we've established it's a command. But that opens up a whole new set of questions, right? How exactly do you follow it? Is saying it once in your life enough? Do you have to do it every day, every time you hear his name? This is where the great legal scholars come into the picture, and they have some really fascinating, nuanced takes. We're going to look at the four major Sunni schools of law. Their legal reasoning has pretty much shaped how the vast majority of Muslims have practiced their faith for centuries. And what you'll see is that they all agree on the foundation, but they have some slight differences on the frequency and the context. Okay, this chart is really interesting because it shows this amazing blend of unity and diversity. Look at that first row. Once in a lifetime. Every single school agrees it is an absolute mandatory obligation. The debate was never if you should do it. The debate is about when and how often, especially when it comes to its role inside the formal daily prayer. So that's the bottom line. The foundation here is rock solid. The disagreement among the jurists isn't about whether it's an obligation. It's about what the bare minimum is to fulfill that obligation. It's a discussion about the details of piety, not the essence of it. And then you have this powerful statement from the Prophet himself, which just lifts the whole conversation beyond legal minimums. He frames ignoring the salawat not as just breaking a rule, but as a kind of spiritual stinginess. It adds this moral, this emotional weight to it, suggesting that our response should come from a place of love and generosity, not just cold, hard duty. And that idea, generosity versus stinginess, that's the perfect doorway into a whole other way of looking at this. If the legal scholars built the floor of this practice, the mystics, the Sufis, they built a cathedral ceiling, asking, what is the absolute limitless spiritual potential here? And so they start asking a totally different kind of question. Is this command from God just a box you have to check, a duty you fulfill and then move on? Or is it something more? For them, the command is absolutely an invitation. It's a doorway into real intimacy with the divine. When a believer sends salat, they're not just following a rule. They're actually participating in this cosmic, eternal action. They're mirroring what God and the angels are always doing. It's like aligning your own heart with the rhythm of the heavens. The great Sufi master Imam al-Jazuli, who put together one of the most famous books of Salawat ever, said it perfectly. The practice isn't just about honoring the Prophet. It's a direct means to achieve qurb, which means nearness, to God himself. The Prophet becomes the very door through which a person approaches the divine. Oh, and I love this metaphor from Abdul Qadir al-Jilani. He talks about the practice as a kind of spiritual polish. It's like every blessing you send wipes away another layer of rust from your heart, purifying it, making it clean so it can finally reflect divine light and get closer to the divine presence. So, from this perspective, the benefits are just profound. We're talking about a tool for spiritual purification. It's believed to act as a kind of seal on your other prayers, helping to ensure they're accepted. It strengthens your spiritual bond, your rabita, with the Prophet. And for many, it's a pathway to one of the most hoped-for spiritual experiences, seeing the Prophet in a dream. So, we'll leave you with this final thought. What if this practice is seen not just as a duty, or even as a ritual, but as an expression of love, a kind of beautiful fragrance you offer up, something that builds a bridge from your own finite human heart directly to the infinite divine? It's a question that can turn a simple phrase into an entire lifelong spiritual journey.